right, here with Coach U and some of the Bruins after a victory over Trinity. Coach, I'll start with you. This was a team that we had played earlier in the season and a team that we had won pretty convincingly down in Jacksonville, and they really came out with a lot of energy and took an early lead. So at the early stages of the game, what was kind of your message to the guys during those timeouts? If it can be repeated.
You might want to ask them. It's like you and I talk about every single halftime when we have a first half like that. You already know what I'm going to say. You said it today. It's just we allowed them to get threes off early, and when we do that, that means we're not defending very well. When we're not defending very well, we're not getting up and down the court like we like to do. We're always most fun to watch. We're having everybody playing. Everything flows. When we did stop somebody, when we stop those threes, we get up and down the court. And when we don't, we face their set defense every time, and that makes it really tough on us. So, I had them talk at halftime, and we just unanimously decided what group needed to come out and start the second half, and what group was going to be the grittiest group that wasn't going to allow that to happen. And they did that. They erased that lead. We measure, I've told you this before, but we measure the half in 4-minute segments, and we didn't win any in the first half, and we won all of them in the second half. So from the get-go, this group did a good job coming in and starting the second half. The first half, I'm trying to flush it.
Yeah, absolutely. Nate, we'll go to you next. Coach has talked about several times those guys coming in off the bench, but what was key, particularly in the second half, for us to come back and take the lead?
Yeah, first half they were getting a lot of threes. We were over-helping, so when somebody drive, we had the opposite guy come and try to help and stop them, and then they would kick it out and get a lot of open threes. And at halftime, we did adjustments. Like you said, we had the group of guys, defensive guys, hard. We need to stop the drive initially, so we don't need that help guy. And then we allowed a lot less threes in the second half.
Yeah. Zach and John, we'll go to Zach first. You guys typically have played more of a reserve role this year, but kind of came in the starting role because of senior night. And just tell me what was happening in those early stages. What was, has been mentioned, the uncontested threes, those kinds of things. But offensively, we just couldn't get it into any kind of rhythm.
It was just, we started off slow, and we needed to come together as a team. Coach kind of took us in at halftime and was like, hey, this is what we need to do, or things are going to go real downhill for us. And he said that we weren't playing up to the potential that he saw in us, and I think that kind of hit a nerve in some of the guys, because we know our potential as well, and we know that we can make it far in this postseason if we play the way we do. We've already played a number of games, went through a whole season, so if we play the way we know how to play, the sky's the limit for us, and we know that, and it's up to us to come in and make things happen and bring that energy every night. And in that first half, we just kind of lacked that. And then once we came out the second, we were like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. Let's turn it on and let's do what we know what to do.
John, kind of to you as well, when you look at some of the guys that came in, Hayes and several guys, Eli and others who really gave us a spark when we needed it at key times in the game. And, sometimes as a leader, a senior, sometimes the best thing that you can do is kind of get out of the way and let the guy that's hot, contribute. So how big of a difference were some of those guys off the bench for us tonight?
It was a huge difference. If you just watch the second half, Hayes hit 2 threes, Chad hit a corner 3. They're getting outlets left and right. I know Cam had 2 fast break points early. Those were 5 guys that, they're always working hard in practice, and they're always being dogs, as coach would say. And they ultimately brought us back in the second half. And we haven't started the second half very well in most games of this year. And I think this was the best start that we've had in the second half, so it was good to see that.
Absolutely. Coach, we're going to transition here and kind of put a more of an emotional hat on here of talking about the seniors, and then we'll ask some of these guys some questions as well. And then I've also got Jason and Cam in here as well, so we'll get them some time on the camera as well. But just collectively, a group of 5 seniors, a big group, probably one of our biggest senior classes that we've had in the last several years. Just talk about what each of these guys has meant to the program.
Yeah, my first year I came in, we did graduate 5 that year, but there were, the team was totally made up a different way. They were all guys that I inherited, and these two, Nate and Jason, are the holdovers from that group. And I feel like they bought in pretty quickly. Were things always smooth? No, but that's life. And I feel like I did address them in the pregame and told them what they meant to me. But Jason and I think alike about everything. We're a lot alike. We like to be around people, and we don't have any enemies in the world or anything like that. And Jason lived with us for a while, and we really view him as a son. And Jason has left a huge mark on this program. He's contributed in so many ways, and he was a transfer, and he had just transferred shortly before I got here. And then Nate had an incredible year my first year, really almost single-handedly in that Grace game led us into the national championship game. And those two guys have been in a national championship environment. And then Nate had an unfortunate injury on a mission trip, and he learned from that. And we had talked a lot privately about God trying to get our attention, and is God doing that here? Is it not? And I saw a spiritual change in Nate. I attribute that partly to his girlfriend, but I'll give Nate some credit on that as well. Nate going with me on a missions trip to Africa this past summer really meant a lot to me. I think it done a lot for our relationship, and I think it's done a lot for him. And I saw him use basketball to minister to other people, and that's something that both of these guys have done. Jason and Nate have done since they've been here. Jason's family's done that his whole life, and both of them plan to continue doing that. And Zach, I think, was my first transfer since I got here. Transferred in from Erskine, and with that, brought his best friend and roommate Cam, and those guys have left their mark on the program. They are both probably the two biggest hustlers that we have. My team knows this. I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but I think a Bruin player should be what Cam is. They get good grades. They behave off the court and never in trouble, and is a harder worker defensively on the court. And I think if I can recruit that, and that can kind of be our stamp, if I had everybody play like Cam does in every practice and every game and handle the way he does off the court, I think we would be a really good team. And then John, I know John since high school, competed against him, coached against him, and John went there to Trinity first and then transferred here. And so four out of the 5 of these guys transferred here. They saw something in this program that they wanted to be a part of, and they have all used basketball to reach people. And all of them in the pregame talked about how much this school and this program has helped them grow, and just the relationships that they've formed. And I'm really proud of where they're at. Really, the only thing this group can do that my first group didn't do is win a championship. There's a lot of firsts that have already been accomplished in this program, but there has not been a first championship. And I would love for this group to be able to be the ones that have that stamp and leave their mark on the program as the first ever to do that.
All right, guys, we're going to go to some of the seniors and some of the thoughts that you guys had. So we'll take the guys that are at the table first, and Nate, we'll start with you, and that way Jason can sub out for you, and then we'll go to the other side so Cam can sub in for this side of the table. Unfortunately, I don't have that wide of a camera angle. But so, Nate, just as you look kind of collectively over the last 4 years here, obviously the season's not done, so we're not saying the season's over or anything like that, but this being the final home game of your senior season, what do you look back on? What are the things that you're going to take with you in terms of being a part of the men's basketball program?
The biggest thing I would have to say is the friendships that you develop. Obviously, we love games. I don't remember a lot about my freshman year on the court, but I remember a lot off the court. All the relationships I built with people that were there, Corey, Marshall. And my sophomore year, same thing. We had an awesome year on the court, but also I built friendships that will last for a lifetime my sophomore year. And then last year, being hurt, I had a different role. But being like a manager kind of under Kip, best manager there is. But just building relationships, that's what I'm going to remember most. Obviously, we want to win national championship. And after we do, I'm going to remember that, but I'm going to remember how we did that and how we went through hard times and we became closer as friends. And I hope to continue to be in their lives and they're in my lives as we go on after college.
Awesome. Zach, how about you?
I would have to say that, kind of build off what Nate said, is just, we come in, work hard every day, of course, and sometimes it gets strenuous. It's the same thing over and over, but that's what you do to get better and stay competitive and stay on top. But looking back years, once we get out of here, I'm going to just think back on just the people that I went through all this with. Everything that happened, God had a plan. He eventually revealed what he was using each of us for, and it was good to see how his hand worked in each of my teammates' lives. I could see ways that they were impacting people around campus. I could see how they were impacting it when it came to people coming to our games. And if I could just say one thing for all my teammates is that I'm proud of them. I'm just seeing how they've grown, and I'm gonna enjoy continuing to watch them grow.
John.
It's just the same thing that Nate and Zach were talking about. It's those times, especially with Nate, it just made me think when he was saying that of, when we have to come back early from Christmas break and we have about 2 weeks here, that's a time that it's so much fun that you have together as a team. It ultimately becomes good and bad things. But you have a lot of fun though. It's a great time to bond. And you're the only ones here on campus, and it's a time that you hang out with your teammates, and it's a great experience. And then God letting me be able to come to this school is huge. There was some doubt of me being able to come here, and he's worked out things in very mysterious ways. So it's a great environment to be around here.
Jason, now that you got your fresh seat at the table, we'll ask you the same question of memories. And now that as you're playing your final regular season home game here, what are you going to take away from being a part of the program?
Wow. Like Nate said, just the friends that I've been able to have here, all the guys who graduated before, Marshall, Dustin, Justin, all those guys, Cooper. Like, we've just become a big family. Like, we were just able to text each other out of the blue, say, hey, what's up, how you doing? Be able to talk about life, talk about spiritual things, be able to build each other up. And just the coaching staff, just really appreciate how they've taken us all in. They're trying to impact all of us so we can impact all the other people that we're friends with and our families. And that just means a lot. It shows where their character is and how they've been able to plant that seed in us to be able to do things. And this year, just being in a different role, I've had to learn a lot. I'm a GA, playing basketball, grad student, working 40 hours a week. It's just been stressful and very humbling. You learn a lot of things when you have to just work a lot and be under a lot of people and just take orders and stuff. So it's very humbling, and I've loved every second of it. I don't regret anything that we've ever done here. I love it.
All right, Cam, last but not least, you round us out here.
Like everybody else said, as you can see, nobody really talked about anything on the court, but off the court experience has been a blessing. Just because I came here last year, I've only been here a year and a half, and I feel like I've been here 4 years, and it's just welcoming just to come in here and everybody just bring you in like you've been here forever. And not every team can say they've done that. And I've been a part of a lot of different teams, and this is the closest team I've ever been on, and I haven't even been here that long. And just like Nate said, John said, that the trips we take, the away games on the bus rides and things like that, those are the times that we're going to remember the most. We're going to remember some games, some aspects of games, but we're always going to remember those times when we just needed someone to talk to or just enjoy our company. And also the coaching staff, my previous school didn't have the best coaching staff, and I don't even remember the people that were on the team. I didn't have any bonds with anybody except for Zach. But the thing is, the coaches were very welcoming as well, and you could see that it rubbed off on the players when I came here. And I just feel like this is a great atmosphere for anyone to be in. I didn't imagine myself being here, and I just thank God every day that I am here, and I have friends, brothers that are going to be here for me forever. I just want to continue to keep the relationship that we have now.
Awesome. Coach, one more question as we go from here. Again, it's nice to be emotional, but the season's not over. We go into the regional tournament next week. The nice thing is it's at our place, assuming that we'll get the number 1 seed into the region tournament. What do we take from tonight, both good and bad, that we can go into next week's region tournament and hopefully come away with a championship?
Well, I've been telling them how tough anybody in our league can be, and NC State beat Duke the other night, and they beat them bad. They beat them by 22 points, and when people need wins, and the only way these teams can get to the national tournament is by winning the region championship. And so at this point, it doesn't matter if we played a team 6 times and we beat them already, that doesn't matter. They came out and they were very close to beating us today, and we have to have that sense of urgency. We always play like we practice, and I'm not giving any sort of excuses, but I haven't been driving in practice just because I've been on crutches and all of that. And I think sometimes when I'm not the driving force and I'm not in everybody's face driving them, I feel like they don't respond as well, and I feel like they come out and it takes them a while to get in the game. And so I'm gonna get an injection in my foot. I'm gonna do something, but I'm gonna be out there and I'm gonna be pushing them. And I guarantee you, we're gonna be ready to play in the first game. We are not gonna walk out there. We're not gonna crawl into it. We're gonna be ready from the get-go. That's a public promise I'm making.
Alrighty, thank you guys.